Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jam Pack Report today for January the 21st of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news from around the industry, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, right here on YouTube and podcast services around the world. So if you enjoy the show, you like what you see, be sure to hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. Now, today's news is pretty short, but with that being said, we've got a lot to break down because there's a brand new xCloud update that is pretty much killing Google Stadia. I'm going to call the kettle black. It is just absolutely obliterating any need for the Google-based streaming platform. Microsoft is killing it in the best way possible. On top of that, there was a leak that showed off a extended gameplay video of Godfall, the first PlayStation 5 game that we have seen in action, of course, debuting at last year's The Game Awards. Now, we have some footage, but it's a bit old. However, it's still footage. Then, Doom Eternal is apparently twice as long as its predecessor, and finally, The Witcher is on track to be Netflix's biggest TV show premiere ever, according to the company. That's a pretty big claim, and I 100% believe it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's top gaming news. First off, Xbox Project xCloud has added Destiny 2, Halo the Master Chief Collection, and more titles. This is a pretty big deal. Microsoft has expanded its lineup of Xbox One titles available under the Project xCloud preview, seemingly welcoming over a dozen new games to its streaming library. The ongoing invite-only test serves full-fledged Xbox One gaming over the cloud to mobile devices, now adding D2, Sid Meier's Civ 6, various Telltale games, published titles, among other existing Xbox hits. Project xCloud has an initial test that started back in October, since maintaining a vast library of Xbox One titles as Microsoft prepares for the scheduled 2020 public release. While currently limited to Android devices in the US, UK, and Korea, it recently resumed its Korean expansion alongside SK Telecom, sending out further invites and introducing more compatible titles. That rollout appears to have spilled west, and we have spotted several new experiences on the game streaming service. And of course, here is the full list of new Xbox One titles out now for the Project xCloud testers, and they include some pretty big titles: Halo the Master Chief Collection, Destiny 2, Sid Meier's Civilization 6, Batman the Enemy Within, and the Telltale series, the complete seasons episodes 1 through 5. Of course, two pretty big Telltale games. Followed by The Wolf Among Us, another big Telltale title, Wasteland 2 Director's Cut, The Surge, Super Hot, Portal Knights, Goner Blueberry Edition, Kingdom 2 Crowns, Sparklight, Tracks the Train Set Game, and Train Sim World 2019. The inclusion of D2 is bound to please many early Project xCloud testers and provides yet another title already among the current Google Stadia flagships. The service also locks down Batman titles from Telltale Games alongside The Wolf Among Us, which, while already on mobile, hit Project xCloud with the benefits of the Xbox One ecosystem. Xbox Project xCloud preview is now live in the US, UK, and Korea, while Xbox console streaming, leveraging at-home Xbox hardware, is now available in all Xbox-supported countries. Microsoft has detailed plans to expand Project xCloud to Canada, India, Japan, and Western Europe, on track for later in 2020. This is a much bigger deal than it might initially seem, because it kills Stadia. There's really no reason to go with Google over Microsoft at this point in the game, unless it is a compatibility feature, unless you have a Pixel and you really love Google. Destiny 2 is the flagship game for Stadia. That's why many people have it. Now, there are plenty of games. There are many, many more to come in 2020. We talked about it on last week's episode of the show, where they have over 100, I think somewhere around 120, give or take, games coming out on Stadia in this year's time frame. But with xCloud, you have Xbox exclusives available via mobile devices, on top of big third-party titles like Destiny 2. On top of that, Civilization 6, another pretty big game. Then the Telltale games, Super Hot, a pretty good indie, Portal Knights, another indie, Goner. There are plenty of experiences here on top of the existing library, and this isn't even fully launched. This is just the preview program. That's insane for me to even consider that it could get even bigger than this, but by all means, this is pretty much the end-all, be-all cloud gaming experience right now. And although I have not had hands-on experience with either, from what I understand and from what industry insiders are saying, this is pretty much the go-to way to play cloud-based games, and that is Project xCloud. It simply is better than Stadia. It is more stable than Stadia. At least that's what the word on the street is. Now again, that could change as time goes on, as technology is leveraged, but right now that seems to be the situation we have, and that's where we are sitting today. Do you guys hear this cat? She's like meowing incredibly loudly. But she'll be okay. Anyways, PlayStation 5 game Godfall has an extended gameplay video that has leaked online. 6 seconds of footage from the PlayStation 5's only confirmed game recently emerged, and now even more has made its way online. So, a brief snippet of gameplay footage for Godfall has now leaked online. The small clip initially appeared on Reddit and appears to be taken from an internal trailer at Counterplay Games that was shown at the beginning of 2019. This could be the first 6 seconds of PlayStation 5 footage we've seen, or it might simply be captured from the PC version of the game. Either way, the use of flashy effects and impressive lighting certainly took the part and looked the part, and it offers a hint of Godfall's presumably weighty melee combat, and of course you can check out the footage via that link. The announcement trailer shown off during the Game Awards did not reveal much else about the upcoming next-gen title, but another video has leaked, of course, now showing an extended teaser trailer for the PlayStation 5 game. The video shows a variety of environments and combat scenarios as the player uses a large sword to dispatch enemies. The quality of the video is not fantastic, but it does provide a bit more insight into what we might be able to expect from Godfall. Of course, the video remains unconfirmed, and it's possible the actual game will turn out much differently, but given what we have still yet to officially see a PlayStation 5 game, it is worth a watch. You can check out the Godfall video via Nibble on Twitter, or through the video, could be pulled at any time. Or I should say, though the video could be pulled at any time. Regardless, this is the game from Gearbox Software that was shown off during the Game Awards last year, but now we have a bit of gameplay, and it has been confirmed officially by Counterplay Games. This was actually shown off in an internal format. This was pretty much a concept piece that was trying to showcase what the vision of the game itself actually was. And right off the bat, very, very impressed with what I'm seeing here. Now, for those that have been following along with the show for a while, you'll know that I was not initially impressed with Godfall, because at the beginning of every console generation, there are always between 5 and 10 games, sometimes more, sometimes less, that are no more than instruments to showcase what the console or what the piece of hardware is capable of. So at the beginning of this console generation, Knack was an example of that. At the beginning of this console generation, you could even say stuff like Killzone Shadowfall was another example of a game that was just pretty much built, although to be a big PlayStation franchise, was also showcasing the power of the new hardware. And so Godfall, I still think, is going to be one of those. That just seems to be what I'm getting from this kind of aesthetic, this kind of gameplay. It seems to be something to showcase what the console itself can do. But after checking out this streamable trailer here, I must admit I'm pretty impressed. Now, as I said, the company came out and confirmed this was in fact internal gameplay, but this is an entire year old. So this was being shown off at the beginning of 2019, 12 months before the announcement video even hit the Game Awards 2019. So that means that tons of work has been done on this game. That means this is much more polished than even what we are seeing here in this low quality video, because again, this is not going to be the quality of the final game. This video looks horrible, and on top of that, again, this is from a good long while ago. So I'm sure these backgrounds are probably going to be filled with mountainscapes and various other textures and whatnot, going to be very impressive to say the least. But that just puts this into perspective, because if this game can look this good this early in development, I mean, this looks like a pretty well polished PlayStation 4 game, then by all means it should be very impressive when the full game does launch sometime around holiday 2020, although no official release date has been given. It can be assumed that this is going to be a launch game. I think we can all pretty much guarantee that one, or at least hope for the best. But again, set for a release for holiday 2020, Godfall looking pretty good, and now there's a full gameplay video out there that is just about 1 year old. However, after a delay, Doom Eternal is on the way, and apparently it's twice as long as its predecessor. You can spend over 22 hours in hell. Doom Eternal is not a nice, relaxing game about slowly sauntering. It's fast, ultra-violent, and you are going to be juggling a lot of guns, demons, and abilities. But that does not mean you will be done with it quickly. According to creative director Hugo Martin, it will take you around 22 hours to get to the end. Quote, "We are hell-bent Nice. On engaging you from the beginning to end, Barton told GameSpot. This is a 22-plus hour game, adding that the first 3 hours showed off more stuff than you'd see in a whole playthrough of its 2016 predecessor. That echoes what Wes wrote in his Doom Eternal preview, which threw a lot at him straight away. Quote, the sequel gives you those basic tools in the first 5 minutes, and then it keeps layering on more for the first 3 hours and likely beyond, he said. Honestly, it's overwhelming, but Eternal's goal here is to essentially give you access to superpowers and then force you to learn how to use them instinctively, or you die. It's definitely following the Crank High Voltage playbook on how to make a sequel. 2016's Doom, according to How Long to Beat, clocks in at around 11 hours if you are just focused on finishing the campaign, which is half of Doom Eternal's reported length, though your mileage will almost certainly vary. Like Wes, I'm not so sure I can handle this much metal and violence for an extended period of time. I'll definitely be needing frequent breaks to cuddle my dog and go for walks in places not caked in viscera and bones. If it really will take 22 hours to finish, I predict it will be done. Or at least the individual over here, PC Gamer Fraser Brown, by this time next year. Now, in my personal opinion, throw that puppy my way because I am ready when you are to take on 22 hours in hell. Doom Eternal looks phenomenal, really excited about this one. Of course, Bethesda pushed it back from its original release date, now launching in just a couple of months if you did want to pick it up. But overall, very impressed to see just how far the game has come from its 2016 predecessor. The gameplay looks phenomenal, and these statements like, you get more in the first 3 hours than the entire game that came out a couple of years ago. Ooh, that's very enticing to me. Now, 22 hours, is that too long for a Doom game? Because when it really does come down to the nitty-gritty bare bones facts, not too many people are genuinely going to be concerned about the story of a Doom game. Now, if you can make me care, sure, why not? But I'm there to rip and tear. I'm not there to rip and care. So, will I be engaged throughout that entire 22 hours? That's yet to be seen, but I suppose I will find out in a couple of months whenever I'm diving into Doom Eternal. Again, coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, I believe Stadia, as well as Switch and PC, though Stadia will launch at a later date after the main versions of the game do. Still excited, though. Still excited. However, in the meantime, you can catch up on The Witcher on Netflix, which is on track to be Netflix's biggest TV show premiere ever, according to the company. Netflix said The Witcher, the fantasy series starring Henry Cavill, is pacing to be its biggest first-season original TV series ever. The Witcher, which debuted on December the 20th on Netflix, was chosen to be watched by 76 million customer households in the first 4 weeks of release, according to the company. That would appear to mean that some 46% of Netflix's subscribers as of the end of 2019 had watched The Witcher over that time span. But there is a caveat with the household viewer number, which is not verifiable independently. Netflix changed the definition of what constitutes a viewer. Now, according to the company, it's measuring accounts that chose to watch and did watch for at least 2 minutes, not long enough to indicate the choice was intentional. Previously, Netflix reported viewing figures based on the number of accounts that had viewed a TV episode or movie to at least 70% completion. The new methodology, which Netflix said is similar to the way YouTube tracks view counts, how BBC iPlayer reports rankings, and how the New York Times ranks the site's most popular articles, will treat short and long titles equally, leveling the playing field for all types of our content, including interactive content, which has no fixed length, according to Netflix's Q4 2019 shareholder letter. The number of households counted under the new 2-minute minimum metric is about 35% higher on average than the prior metric per Netflix. About The Witcher, Netflix thumped its chest in taking credit for a lift in the franchise's other instantiations? Why you gotta throw these big words at me, man? Wow, that was just coming out of nowhere. I mean, I guess that's correct. Other stuff, other games and movies, other books, I don't know, man. Quote, as a testament to how our hit content can penetrate the global zeitgeist and influence popular culture, the show's launch drove up sales of The Witcher books and games around the world and spawned a viral musical hit, the company said in the shareholder letter. I love the fact that the toss a coin to your Witcher Twitter meme made it into the shareholder letter. Anyways, Netflix renewed The Witcher 4 Season 2 last fall, more than a month before the freshman season hit the streaming service. Based on the best-selling fantasy series, The Witcher tells the tale of Geralt of Rivia, a solitary monster hunter who struggles to find his place in a world where people often prove more wicked than beasts. But when destiny hurtles him towards a powerful sorceress and a young princess with a dangerous secret, the three must learn to navigate the increasingly volatile continent together. Meanwhile, Netflix released other cherry-picked viewing metrics and projections for its original slate, slate using the same criterion of watching a title for at least 2 minutes. And we are going to be diving into those because that's not gaming related. Now, with that being taken into consideration, The Witcher doing very well. Phenomenal show. Very thankful for it. Because for me, this is something that I didn't expect to like as much as I do. Because I really couldn't get into The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And that's probably a me thing. I'm not really into giant open world RPGs. I kind of like to be driven around, you know? I like to be guided. On top of that, I just like really mindless multiplayer. That's kind of a me thing. Probably something I should get over and just sit down and play The Witcher. But regardless, I'm a big fan of the show itself because it does tell a story from beginning to end, and it does leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger for season 2. Now, on top of that, I think it's also worth mentioning here that it's very well made, and it's the one instance that I think Henry Cavill can be dethroned from, in the minds of many viewers, being Superman, and for me, he is now Geralt of Rivia. I didn't think that was possible, because he will always be Superman for tons of people, but for me now, his standout role, in the same way that I identify Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Johnny Depp as Captain Jack, I see Henry Cavill as Geralt of Rivia, which is very impressive to say the least. But if you have not gone and watched the show, join the 46% of Netflix subscribers that have. I would highly recommend it. And if you want to watch it from beginning to end, I might also recommend a bit of a timeline. I know that Netflix released a full timeline of how to follow along with the show because there's tons of flashbacks that make it a little bit confusing, but nothing you smart people can't handle. Because everybody that watches and listens to this show, oh, you're very intelligent. You're the cream of the crop. You're the top tier individuals. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of the Jam Pack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below, or if you are listening on podcast services, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already and leave a good rating on the platform of your choice. It really does help, and I would really appreciate it. But again, this show is hosted 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, so I will see you tomorrow night for a brand new show covering the day's top gaming news. But until then, have a good one, and peace.